Also gonna have the stream pulled up on my phone just so I can look at, I guess, I don't know, chat or something. We're using I probably should have told you guys this earlier, but we're using the 2020 or 2019 roster. So, Menard in the 21 and Hemrick in the 8 and stuff. Yeah, yeah. Another thing is Alexander Rossi is in the 27 Dodge, and there's two 12 cars and two 22s. The Dodge 12 car is Sam Hornish, and the Dodge 22 is Ward Burton. They just kind of came with the mod, and I'm like, cool, I'll use these. Menard in the 21. And oh, it turns out we were broadcasting voice the whole time. Wow, this is really awkward. Hey, everyone. Oh, there. That's why, because I have audio input capture. Let's just get rid of that. So we're here at the St. Petersburg racetrack. I don't really know the full name of it. For the NASCAR St. Petersburg Grand Prix. Joining me today in the broadcast booth is Eddie Kalegi and Charles Bowen. How's it going? It's Charles Bowen. Alright, so let's take a look at the starting lineup that we have for today's event. Row 1 is going to be Kyle Busch to the outside of Ryan Newman. Row 2, Landon Castle and Brad Keselowski. Row 3 is Eric Almirola to the inside of Joey Logano. And in row 4, Ty Dillon to the inside of Bubba Wallace. Row 5, Martin Truex Jr. starts to the inside of Ryan Preece. And in row 6, Ryan Blaney to the inside of William Byron. Behind them is Alexander Rossi to the inside of Michael McDowell. And behind them is Casey Kane in the 9 car to the inside of Austin Dillon. Kind of forgot that Casey Kane was in this race. Sorry about that one. He's in the 9 Dodge. Behind them is Denny Hamlin to the inside of Chris Buescher, and behind them is Eric Jones to the inside of Kurt Busch. Now I gotta switch the camera angle. Behind them is Cole Custer, who is in the 00 car. Sorry about that. Also forgot to say. Actually, this is the wrong roster, I think. Is it? Yeah. No, it's not. I just forgot that these people were in the race. Never mind that. To the outside of Cole Custer is Tony Stewart in the 14 Dodge. I don't know why he's in the race. We got to get rid of him. Sorry about this. I was testing some stuff yesterday, and I think I forgot to change the opponents back. So, oopsie doopsie. Let's get rid of them. Wow, this is very professional. This is fine. All of this is fine, and I don't know where that 5 car went. 5 car? Oh, that's right, okay. I was just using the wrong roster. This stream is incredibly professional. That should change. Let me just make sure that I actually set up this roster correctly. Yeah, okay, this one is correct. I had to make some adjustments to the ratings just to try and make the racing as good as possible. So that's not the right button. We're going over here, and that is all correct. Okay, how's the chat doing? Hey, we got 20 people watching. That's pretty good for a stream where I can't figure out what's going on. Alright, we'll just skip past this a little bit. Okay, after that, we're back. We're back at St. Petersburg. We'll go through the starting lineup again. Row 2 is Ricky Stenhouse on pole to the inside of Brad Keselowski. Behind them, Ty Dillon to the inside of Eric Almirola. Row 3, Ryan Newman to the inside of Alexander Rossi. And in row 4, Chris Buescher Austin Cindric in the 60 car to the inside of Kyle Busch. Clint Bowyer starts to the inside of Eric Jones from row 5, and in row 6, Sam Hornish Jr. in the 12 car to the inside of Alex Bowman. Row 7, Jimmy Johnson to the inside of Joey Logano, and in row 8, Austin Dillon to the inside of Landon Castle. Row 9, William Byron to the inside of Martin Truex Jr., and behind them, Kurt Busch to the inside of Justin Haley. Behind them, Kevin Harvick will start to the inside of Michael McDowell, and behind them is Daniel Suarez in the 41 car to the inside of Paul Menard. Behind them, Chris Buescher to the inside of his teammate Ryan Preece, and behind them, Bubba Wallace to the inside of Denny Hamlin. Behind them, David Ragan to the inside of Matt DiBenedetto in the 95, and Kyle Larson will start to the inside of Daniel Hemrick. That will be the end of the grid. So, who do you think has a good chance at winning this race? I don't know why, but Chase Elliott is not in this race. Maybe I should fix that. 1 second, everybody. Wow, okay, everything's going wrong. I swear I had this set up, like, perfectly, and then I didn't. I think... Nope, okay, I don't know what happened to Chase Elliott. Oh, God, okay. I know I already had one set up with the correct ratings. It's this one, right? Yes. Okay, so before we get started, one thing to point out, we are running a spec package today, so every driver has the exact same car rating, so it's going to be down to who is the best driver. Now that we're back in the race, So we're going to be going in just under 2 minutes here. Eddie, your pick is Chase Elliott or Martin Truex Jr. I would go through the starting lineup again, but I feel like we've already done that enough, and it looks like it's pretty much just the same as last time. We'll see where Chase Elliott is starting. He's actually pretty far towards the front, unless he's, again, not in this race, in which case I think we're just going to have to go without him. Oh, Chase, where did you go? Well, at this point now he's not even an active driver, so let's try this one more time. I am so sorry to the chat right now. I had this like all figured out. Everything was fine when I was testing this last night, and then just everything wasn't fine. I mean, he's marked as active, so I don't know. Okay, we're using the all roster. Maybe that's it. All right, we're going to try this one more time, and if Chase Elliott isn't in the race, we're just going to go without Chase Elliott. Thank God the chat isn't just, like, hemorrhaging viewers at this point. And for the final time, we're going to be ready to go here in just under a minute. All right, so now that the starting lineup has been mixed up a little bit, Alexander Rossi will be on pole. Final check to see if Chase Elliott is actually in this race. Boogity boogity, we're going without Elliott. All right, so Eddie, your pick is Martin Truex Jr. at this point. Charles, who do you have winning this race? Yeah, so I think I figured out the issue with Chase Elliott. I think I was driving him as the player. And there is the call to command provided by whoever that is recording the voice for NR 2003. We're ready to go racing here for 50 laps at St. Petersburg. It's going to be a fun day of action. Thank you to Charles Bowen and Eddie Kalegi for joining me alongside in the broadcast booth. Alexander Rossi on pole is going to lead the field to green here at St. Petersburg. Here we go for 50 laps of racing action. We're green. Good start by Alexander Rossi. Now he's in front of the field with Kyle Busch behind. We know Kyle Busch can be very aggressive on the start of these races. Will he try and make a move at Rossi? Looks like right now he's just stuck behind Almirola. I'm actually surprised by Eric Almirola. He's had a really good start. He's been able to hang with Rossi. Rossi just got in the wall there coming out of, that might be turn 6. That spot's been a trouble spot for the AIs in practice. Rossi pulling out just a bit of a lead right now as we come to the tight left-hander. Now this has been a trouble spot really all weekend for these drivers. They've really just been kind of smacking the wall through here. We'll keep an update on this situation. Blaney just a little bit wide, usually towards the back of the pack. We do see one driver getting into the wall pretty heavily. All right, doesn't look like it happened this time, so we're good. And I messed up the camera because I'm so good at this. So pit window for this race is just around 12 laps. So around that time, we could see the field starting to get shaken up just a little bit. One second, guys. I think we might have an issue with the audio. You still here? Okay, yeah, I think I kept trying to change this, but NR 2003 doesn't like me changing the audio, I guess. We're just going to put that down at 0, because that's basically going to be our best option. Okay, hopefully this fixes any issues that we have. And hopefully the chat can actually hear you guys. All right. So, unfortunately, there's not going to be any sound coming from the game, but this is going to be the best way to actually hear the broadcast. Right now, it's still Alexander Rossi leading over Eric Almirola. One thing to point out for Almirola is that actually this is kind of his hometown race. He was born in Florida, and obviously we are racing in St. Petersburg, Florida, so this could be a good race for him. But Almirola's got to be worried at this point because he's got Kyle Busch pretty close behind. We know Kyle Busch can be very aggressive when he's going for these moves on the road courses. Kyle Busch could be an outside pick to win this race. We didn't really talk about him much in the pre-race. I'm just wondering for the chat, did you hear Eddie Kalegi right there talking, or can you just not hear them at all? Because at first I thought it was an audio balancing issue. Now I'm thinking you just can't hear them at all. I don't really know when the chat's going to see this, but hopefully soon. Kyle Busch actually gaining on Almirola here while Alexander Rossi's pulling away by just a little bit. We are coming to lap 4 at this point, so still a long way to go in this race, but Kyle Busch is definitely trying to make the most out of this early run. Actually, I don't think this is for a scheduled pit stop. Something tells me that he probably got a lot of damage or he got in the wall there. Nice. People can't actually hear you at all. Alright, 1 second here. It's still early in the race. Thankfully, this didn't happen, like, at the last moment with, like, a photo finish. That's why, because I don't have my desktop audio on at all. Silly me. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. You should be able to hear them now. As you can see, Austin Cindric getting a pit stop there. That was definitely unscheduled. Way too early for an undercut. Austin Cindric is always one of those guys that you need to look out for at the road courses. He's kind of similar to Kyle Busch in a way where sometimes he's just not good at all at the road courses, but when he is, he's very aggressive and looking to make the most out of a situation. I think a lot of people think back to the Xfinity race at Watkins Glen where he just moved AJ Allmendinger out of the way. That too, that was a very controversial move. I remember that one. Looks like Paul Menard, also off the pace. He probably had to pit as well. In practice races, I noticed that a lot of drivers had to come into the pits pretty early for hitting the wall. So that's definitely something to look out for, as it looks like Almirola has actually been gaining on Rossi a little bit. Okay, I know we're cutting off for just a second here because I can actually get game sound now that I know what's going on. We can hear cars. How lovely. Oh, this is a bit of a problem. Hey, can you guys now hear Charles and Eddie? Because I've boosted the desktop audio. So if you can't hear them, that's a bit of a problem. That was a little bit ago. I don't know because I do know that the stream is a little bit behind at this point on our live commentary. So it's really annoying how I can't find like a point where the cars are quiet. They're either loud or not there. That's better. Okay. Yeah, while the race is still going on, it's still early, so this is a good time to kind of troubleshoot these issues. Um, can you just kind of keep talking really quick? Okay, yeah, desktop audio is not being picked up at all. So, we're going to go for a bit of a clumsy solution. I think Okay, so what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to feed the call through my phone and into my microphone. So this is going to be a fun solution. And then at this point, I'm just going to have to turn the car sounds off. I don't know what's going on with that, but... Okay. Just going to mute myself on there. Wait, that's... No, we're going to deafen myself. Not mute, I just want to deafen... No. Okay, well that's cool. Okay, I'm going to be talking through my phone at this point. This is really messed up. Okay. Hey! Hello?
Can you hear me? I can hear you, but the screen's gone.
Yep, I saw that. Okay. Let's just put that all the way. And... So to the stream right now, I apologize that this isn't really working very well. This worked in practice, but things get a little bit messed up when you're streaming. At this point... Stream is ended. Discord, what are you doing to me? Okay, can you guys just commentate through the stream at this point? Because I think it's going to be too difficult to set up the live here. Hey, I think at this point, you guys should probably just commentate over the stream through Discord because I've been having a lot of trouble setting this up properly. Hello? Oh, great, not this again. Oh, right. Hello? Okay, can you guys just commentate through the stream? Okay. That's alright. Okay, perfect, and then... Can someone say something on here? Okay, this is gonna work, just not very well. I'm just gonna put you there. And let's see if this works now. Back to St. Petersburg. Okay, are we still live? Yes, we are. Alexander... Okay, Rossi's still leading over Eric Almirola and Brad Keselowski. We're back live after some technical difficulties. Where is Kyle Busch? He's fallen back a little bit. Okay, the problem now is that I cannot hear this. Oh, God. Can I just, like, boost the audio? Try again. Discord, why are you like this? Okay. To everyone on the stream, I apologize for all the technical difficulties we're having as Kyle Busch is up the inside of Ty Dillon. Dillon nearly hit the wall there, but I'm going to try and get this sorted out really quick. I'm going to leave St. Petersburg live feed on here. We're going to focus on this battle for now. It's going to be kind of like a NASCAR crank it up thing, so enjoy car sounds while I try and fix the live stream. Or enjoy a frozen game, because NR 2003 doesn't actually like running when it's not active. I'm really sorry that this is just not working well at all. Wait, maybe I can do this. Okay, we're going with an audio output capture. Try talking.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Yes! Okay, this is gonna work. Woo! Okay. Going back to the stream here. Through all this,
are you able to screen share?
Through all this, we've maintained like 30 viewers, so that's really cool. I'm surprised everyone hasn't left at this point. Thank you all for continuing to tune in. We're going to go live once again here from St. Petersburg. At this point, the chat should be able to hear, as my microphone is getting caught on my wheel. Okay. Alright, just continue commentating as normal, and I think everything has been sorted out. Brad Keselowski here looking to size up a move on Ryan Preece. He's going to go down the inside. We're getting pretty close to the pit stop cycle, so around lap 11 and 12, we're going to take a focus on the leader, who is still Alexander Rossi pulling away at St. Petersburg. Move behind Ryan Newman going for the pass on Kyle Busch. Down the inside he goes. That was a great move by Newman. I saw him set up off the corner, and Newman is around the outside of Kyle Busch. Great move by the 6 car. Are you all still here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great.
It's a little hard because the stream's a minute behind. So
no, I set up the live again, so you should be able to watch from Discord.
It just says the stream is having cricket noise.
Of course it is. Oh my god, why are you like this, Discord? Okay. Final attempt to make this work. Not. Alright, do you see it? You got the stream?
Yes.
Still got it?
Okay. Yep, we're good.
Kyle Busch to pit lane. He'll probably start this round of pit stops, maybe going for an undercut. I can't imagine that he's pitting for damage. Just let me know if the Discord stream ever cuts out.
Mm-hmm.
We'll pull up the scoring here on the right side of your screen. Alexander Rossi, he has really been dominating this race. I mean, we know St. Petersburg is kind of a tight street circuit. It can be difficult to pass. But so far, I think Rossi's just been having the best car.
It cut out again.
The stream, are you kidding me, Discord? Why are you like this? Okay. Okay, new idea. This might work better. You can watch my OBS. Tell me if this works. All right, Eddie, did you get that?
Yes, I got it.
All right, we're going through OBS at this point, as now the leader, Alexander Rossi, has pitted.
Yeah, now the pit stop's getting underway here. Rossi trying to get a good stop in. Let's see how they do with a NASCAR pit stop against all these other NASCAR pit crews.
One thing that I think might actually be interesting, as you can see Daniel Hemrick with heavy left side damage, is because Kyle Busch pitted so many laps earlier, he might actually have a good undercut on the field here.
Okay, let's see. And look at Cindric, too, coming up. He's passing the leaders, but I believe he is a lap behind. As Rossi coming out, there's Logano, Almirola.
Well, thing with
It's going to be
Cindric,
interesting to see.
Rossi's just basically pulled out a huge lead. I don't know if Joey Logano was on the lead lap. We can just take a look at this here. Logano's a lap down, so he's not a factor in this. The thing about Cindric is that he pitted really early on for damage, so he's just going to be like 5 or 6 laps off of sequence, but is going to be a lap down.
So Rossi's there, Almirola, and what about the 47 of Ryan Preece up to 3rd place now?
Yeah, Ryan Preece has been having a much better day than I think a lot of people expected. He honestly disappointed me a little bit when he went to cut, because I had really high expectations for him after he had that really good Xfinity career. He just really wasn't able to deliver, but he's certainly delivering here under attack from Kyle Busch as they come into the tight left-hander.
Now Kyle Busch is a lap down. He had some problems. The top 5 is Rossi, Almirola, Preece, Keselowski, and Ty
Well, just
Dillon.
as you say that, Kyle Busch is going on the outside. What a move! I messed up the camera just a little bit there, so we'll take another look at it. But what a move by Kyle Busch. Just went right around the outside of who was that again? Ryan Preece.
Yeah, so Kyle Busch trying to get his lap back the old-fashioned way, trying to drive his way back around the field. Remember,
Actually,
no cautions in this race.
I did not realize that Kyle Busch was a lap down, as we have a smoker there in the final corner. You can see that coming off the corner. I can't tell who that is from back here. David Reagan. Oh, heavy damage to David Reagan. Sorry if the
Oh, and he's in the wall hard too.
the stream might cut out for just a second here because I need to actually get to the replay. I know there is a way to do it through. Yeah. So David Reagan into the wall. I think he's just kind of, I don't really know what you're doing there, David.
I think David's day might be over here.
Yeah, David Reagan's trying to get to pit road, but I think his AI is glitched out. I think his his motor might have just let go, actually.
Can you see the 19 of Truex is behind him?
Oh, no. Oh, no. Reagan he was coming out of that corner wide. He just smacked the tire barrier.
And it just slid him across the track. And then he just starts spinning around and driving head on into the wall. So I don't really know what happened there, but
I think his AI glitched out a little bit. Yeah, that's unfortunate for David Reagan, though. He was actually having a pretty good day. We'll go back through the field here as we have a battle between teammates, Austin Cindric and Ricky Stenhouse. They're actually in the lead of this race.
So Austin Cindric pitting early might have been a problem for him, and as he taps the wall a little, but paying off at the moment, he has cycled out in front of Rossi and Almirola.
I think what Cindric is essentially going for is I made a mistake, except now I'm going to play it off as an undercut strategy, because he pitted about like 10 laps earlier than the leaders did, so you can see the tire difference between him and Rossi. But that might actually mix up the field a little bit, give Stenhouse a bit of a better chance, because he's going to hold up Rossi quite a bit here.
Yeah, Rossi, you saw him close in so much, but the 60 is really slowing him down and allowing Stenhouse to get a little bit of gap, and you see Joey Logano now right behind the 27.
Yeah, actually, I didn't really realize this, but Joey Logano is on the lead lap, so he is racing for position here with Alexander Rossi. 3 cars under a blanket as they enter the first turn. And actually, there's Joey Logano underneath Rossi.
Look at the inside of Rossi there.
This is going to be a 3-car battle here. Actually, Logano got held up a little bit.
Rossi slipped around Austin Cindric. Now let's see, heavy braking zone coming up. Can Logano get around the 60?
Coming up from under the trees. It doesn't look like Logano went for the dive bomb there. Maybe that could have actually been a really good move on for Logano. And actually, as we're saying this, I think we are having some difficulties with Charles Bowen, our other broadcaster. I think that's something on his end. I'm just going to quickly check in on him, make sure everything's all right going on over there.
And while you're doing that, I'll just keep going through here. So you see that stingy 10 car of Eric Almirola. Every time you think he's going to start fading out of the picture here at St. Petersburg, he keeps closing in, and now he's looking trying to get by Joey Logano. There's a little contact made between the 10 and the 22, as it looks like Almirola's going to get up to 4th place here.
Eric Almirola, like I said at the top of the show, this is his home race, so he definitely has a bit of motivation here to really go for a good position. As you can see, Austin Cindric peeling off to the right. I think he's going to come down pit road this time by.
Yep, he was due. He pitted back on lap 3, and there's a car with heavy damage on pit road, I just noticed.
Oh, that's Ryan Preece. Oh, no! Ryan Preece is having a great day. He is now on pit road with heavy front-end damage. That's Jimmy Johnson, I think, also on pit road. Johnson's really the only purple car in this race. Oh man, Ryan Preece just nosed it into the wall.
Ryan Preece's day is done. He had been running up in the top 5. We're going to watch a replay of this. Running behind Kyle Busch. It's a little wide in that corner.
Oh, they just make contact going into the corner.
And he's going to go pound it. Kyle Busch, very fortunate to miss that for the most part. Made a little contact with the wall, but obviously nothing compared to Ryan Preece.
Yeah, Ryan Preece, he is out.
So Preece is done, and I assume David Reagan's day is done as well.
I think David Reagan's still trying to figure out how to get to pit lane, honestly. Keselowski and Kyle Busch. Yeah, this is for position. So Brad Keselowski trying to get up the inside of Kyle Busch here. As we know, Brad Keselowski and Kyle Busch aren't exactly best friends. They're going to go side by side through here. They make it work. Here we come to the heavy left-hander. This has been a trouble spot for AI all day while they're trying to make overtakes. And Brad Keselowski, I think he's just going to go around the outside at the kink.
Yeah, I think Kyle Busch has some damage after that contact with the 47.
He might have some damage.
He doesn't have that same drive.
He might have some damage, but at the same time, we've seen through that kink where the AI, if they're on the inside, they've just been lifting really hard. So good shot for Brad Keselowski to get through there. He will move his way up into the 6th position.
Now let's take a look back up at the front, because I think it's getting closer up there.
It's definitely getting closer. Joey Logano now right behind Eric Almirola as Ricky Stenhouse heads to the pit lane. Rossi might be running away with this race, but Joey Logano is closer than ever to getting this win. We can actually take a look at lap times here. The fastest lap has actually been set by Daniel Suarez at a 1:12.1. But if we look at recent lap times, we can compare them out of the top 3. Logano's recent lap was a 113.6, Almirola's was a 114, and Rossi's was a 112.6. So very spread out lap times, but Joey Logano is probably second fastest out of this group.
Yeah, Logano, if he can get around Eric Almirola, I think that 22 could have a good shot at trying to catch Rossi. He's a good road course driver, too.
Yeah, Joey Logano, I've noticed he's really been honestly underrated as a road course racer. You can think back to 2016, he was pretty close at Watkins Glen, won in 2015, and 2019 at the Roval had a pretty good run going, just some misfortune took him out of that race.
Rossi got a little wide out of that corner, and Almirola is catching a little bit, so let's see what happens as this race progresses. We're coming to lap 19.
That trouble spot, or the little S-bend out of the final corner there, I guess you would call that a chicane. It's been a trouble spot all day. We saw David Reagan get caught out by it first. He slid off and went right into the tire barrier. But when you're getting on older tires, the problem with that corner there is that there's really not a lot of traction, and you basically have to flick your car from left to right. So when you don't have a lot of traction in your tires, you can slide wide, and if you're in heavy traffic, that could be a big problem.
And something else I wanted to mention, there are some smaller teams that are doing very well today. We've seen some guys get some damage. You look, 7th place Landon Castle, Bubba Wallace 8th, Michael McDowell's 9th. I mean, it's a lot of small teams that are really getting their names known, and if more cars have trouble, maybe they'll have a chance to win.
Yeah, definitely. The thing you have to consider is that because we are running a spec package, it's really letting these drivers shine, and by that I mean the ratings that were put in the mod. So Landon Castle, Ty Dillon, Bubba Wallace, all these guys having really good days. This is a good opportunity for them to show what they've got. Ty Dillon might actually...
Ty Dillon catching Kyle Busch right now.
Watch out for this
Kyle
one.
Busch has some damage, doesn't want to have the free situation. That was close.
Dillon goes just right around the outside of Kyle Busch. Nice move by the 13 there. Landon Castle, you look at him in that Starcom 00 car. He's also gaining on Kyle Busch, so Kyle Busch is quickly going to the back.
And you got the lapped car of Jimmy Johnson mixed up in this whole mess as well, so it'll be interesting to see how they negotiate him.
And Joey Logano is on pit road. I don't know if this is scheduled. It's a little early. I would expect pit stops to start at around lap 24, but it doesn't look like that 22 car has any damage, so he's just maybe going for an undercut.
He did pit a couple laps before Rossi and Almirola in the first cycle, so he might be a little bit of an undercut throughout the race. It paid off for him there. Let's see if he can make up even more time this cycle.
For my best calculations, the pit windows are going to be at around 12, 24, 36, and 48. So this undercut, it might even let him undercut at the end of the race when the leaders are pitting kind of around that 50-lap mark.
Yeah, so Logano coming off pit road. So now Keselowski up to 3rd, Ty Dillon, Kyle Busch the top 5. Logano comes off pit road. He's currently in 10th.
So Logano, it's interesting to see how the field spread out here because Logano, even after pitting, was able to stay inside the top 10. We'll take a look through the field, see if there's any action going on. Things have definitely quieted down as we're getting into that kind of middle stage of the race. Drivers just trying to go for the end, but here's Truex on Hamlin.
Yeah, I've been surprised. Truex and Denny Hamlin have both really not gone too far. Truex just missed flipping that wall there, but out of the Toyotas, Kyle Busch is really the only one who's gotten to the front today.
Truex has damage too. He has a little bit of damage on that back bumper. You might be able to see it coming through here. Yeah, that spoiler's just a little bit bent up.
You see Denny Hamlin, Chris Buescher right there with him. That's right around the middle of the pack, probably about 15th place, I'd say.
This is the battle for 11th. Actually,
11th.
Well, Hamlin is on the lead lap, and Buescher's gaining on this group as well, so this is an interesting spot here for the first spot outside, or interesting fight here for the first spot outside the top 10.
So 3 cars battling for 11th place. Truex, Hamlin, and Chris Buescher. Got the 6 of Ryan Newman ahead.
Yeah, Newman is actually, he's having a really good day today. And just as I say that, I realize that he's a lap down in 28th.
So he must have gotten some trouble. He was right there with David Reagan when that incident happened, so he might have gotten a little bit of contact there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've seen really throughout the day that there are a lot of trouble spots on this track. It's a very tight street circuit. You're really surrounded by walls at all times, as we see Chris Buescher going for a move on Denny Hamlin. It's been a really popular move to go around the outside of that corner, but I've actually seen a lot in practice races where drivers will just overcook it and smack it right into that tire barrier head on.
Yep, and that's exactly what happened to Ryan Preece earlier when he was passing Kyle Busch for 5th. So these guys are being risky, but, I mean, I guess it's worth it because at this point in the race, a lot of cars have damage. You might want to just try to, make some crazy moves, try to make something happen. It's a fun race today, so I think these guys are willing to gamble.
I mean, they don't really have much to lose, right? They're not racing for championship points. There's no title on the line. It's really just a win at St. Petersburg, which in a NASCAR Cup car would always be a nice accomplishment. So they don't really have anything to lose. I think that while a lot of these drivers are trying to conserve coming to like the middle stage of this race, I think the drivers that aren't trying to conserve are kind of taking advantage of that. Like, okay, well, you're going to go nice and easy. I'm going to go and try and overtake you.
And talking about going nice and easy, Eric Almirola has really started to fade back a little bit, and Alexander Rossi has opened up a pretty sizable gap from the lead.
I think Almirola has a very solid top 5 car. I think Rossi has a winning car. But as we've seen, these trouble spots can catch drivers out really at any point in the race. We're just now approaching the halfway marker, so anything can happen from now to the end, especially on old tires as we get around this point in the run.
I'd argue at this point, you mentioned about race-winning cars versus top 5 cars. I think Rossi and Logano are the two with the race-winning capable cars right now. And then, like, top 5 cars, you got Almirola, Kyle Busch, Keselowski, maybe Ty Dillon.
Yeah, I think those were the guys with the more top 10 cars. Unfortunately, I don't even know where Joey Logano went. He is outside the top 10 at this point. I think he might have gotten some damage. So Rossi, things are going pretty well for him. I'm actually going to try and figure out what happened to Logano.
Yeah, because Logano pitted and he cycled out in 10th, but he must have hit the wall or something because he's all the way back in 20th now.
I think he might have actually pitted early again because the pit window was around lap 24 for the second stop. I think he just pitted again and he's just kind of cycling back. So maybe a bad strategy on the box, who I guess would be Paul Wolfe at this point.
I guess so.
This is a battle for 19th. Joey Logano sends it up the inside of Kevin Harvick. That's a move we like to see. Logano is clear of Harvick now. He's definitely got the fresher tires.
Yeah, Logano's still got a really good car, but he's so far back. I don't really know if that strategy paid off. He might have pitted again, so Logano might have already taken 3 stops here, which is why he's so far back. Because he pitted at lap 19, and he cycled out in 10th place. And now here, lap 23, coming to 24, he's back in 19th. So I don't really know exactly what Logano's strategy was, but we do know he has a good car. And if people keep having issues and hit the wall and stuff,
Speaking of which, Ryan Blaney in the wall right there.
Perfect timing, so Logano could make his way through the field.
Hold on, guys. Ryan Blaney has heavy damage. We can get them flying by here, but look at Ryan Blaney's car. That is heavy, heavy damage on that 12 car. He's really taken the approach of it doesn't really matter how it looks as long as it's in victory lane.
Yeah, well, he's not pitting yet, but let's see if he has any issues here. I think he's going to have to pit soon with that damage. And we'll see. You see Harvick laying back a little bit, not trying to get right behind him.
Speaking of pitting, pretty busy pit lane here. Wallace in, McDowell in, who we haven't really talked about all day, despite him being a pretty good road course racer. Kyle Busch in as well. That's William Byron. Nearly got into Denny Hamlin. We'll try and find Alexander Rossi, who I can imagine is probably pitting this lap. Here he is.
Kyle Busch did not have a great stop. He must have been repairing that damage. You see Rossi coming down because Bubba Wallace and McDowell were behind him and has cycled out in front of him. But we do know Busch had some damage from the Priest incident, so maybe he was repairing that. But we got the leader, Alexander Rossi, and second place Eric Almirola coming onto pit road now.
It'll be interesting to see if Rossi has any issues on pit lane. I mean, we know that he is from the IndyCar series, and this might be trouble. He's actually stuck behind Clint Boyer here. Oh no, Rossi! He barely makes it in, but that's not going to help his time very much.
Yeah, that's going to hold him up. Let's see now. Almirola did not have any hindrances coming onto pit road. Will he be able to make up some time here?
Well, if I may offer a conspiracy theory, Boyer and Almirola are teammates, so yeah, I don't know about that one.
Michael Waltrip Racing, St. Petersburg edition. As Rossi coming out. And Almirola definitely gained some time right there.
He gained some time.
Rossi still got the lead.
He gained some time, I just don't think it's enough. Honestly, my prediction at this point is that as we reach halfway, Rossi is going to have something go horribly wrong. Unfortunately for Rossi, we know that that's very prone to happen here at St. Petersburg.
Now, Logano is in front of Rossi right now, but is he about to be a lap down?
That's a good question. NR 2003 scoring takes a little bit of time to cycle out. I think either Joey Logano was about to go a lap down or he has taken the lead, but he's on like 4-lap-old tires.
So let's see what happens here. Right now the scoring says Rossi first, Almirola second, and that Logano is in 10th. We got a lot of lap traffic up here, so this could get interesting with Alexander Rossi and with Logano, because they are both a lot faster than some of these cars up here. Stenhouse, Cindric, and Daniel Hemrick all right ahead.
To give you an idea of the tire wear that's been going on here at St. Petersburg, I don't know if you saw, but Daniel Hemrick was just basically sliding through that final left section. The tire wear is really starting to take effect on these drivers. Okay. Updated scoring will show the Roush Fenway Racing teammates in the lead with Joey Logano in third. So Daniel Hemrick is a lap down. This is actually very similar to what we saw earlier in the race with the Roush Racing entries pitting much earlier and almost going for an undercut.
So let's see if they continue that strategy, because that could pay off for them later in the race, but you can tell Logano, and I don't even think it's just the tires. Logano and Rossi and Almirola are both just have a lot more speed than these two Roush entries.
Definitely. The only thing I can imagine is that those two Roush entries would maybe, the final pit stop would be timed in a way where they're actually able to have the lead at the checkered flag. So, underdog winner pick, Austin Cindric maybe. It looks like he's had the advantage over his teammate.
Someone else that we haven't talked about at all today, who's running in 6th place, is that 3-car of Austin Dillon, who's currently ahead of Almirola, Keselowski, Ty Dillon, cars that were in the top 5, and Logano hits the wall.
Oh no! Disastrous for Joey Logano. He was going for a move on Stenhouse, and he just got in the wall. We'll take a look at a replay here, because Rossi is definitely going to take the lead. I mean, keep in mind
that's huge.
Yeah, he just...
Right rear damage.
He just miscalculated. He overshot it, got clipped by the tire barrier.
Just got it. He almost missed that wall, but that wall is hard, and that gave him some pretty significant damage.
Yeah,
right now, he's still hanging on.
We are running with simulation damage, but we know Stenhouse, he's a very aggressive racer. He's a very aggressive blocker. He was not ready to give that position to Joey Logano. I think Logano's going to go for the move this time by. Maybe not. You see Rossi going for the move on Hemrick, so this will be the battle for the lead. Rossi and Joey Logano, obviously Logano with a big disadvantage, but look at Almirola. I mean, with the leaders fighting like this, Almirola has a great chance of going up there and taking the lead.
And Brad Keselowski, too. Keselowski's been up in the top 5 most of the race. He doesn't have any damage, so let's see as Logano gets near the wall again.
I would watch out for Rossi here, because he's going to be in a very compromised position as they go into the tight left-hander. If he might get it into the wall if he's not careful. Oh, there he goes!
He did!
Rossi's out!
Rossi hits the wall!
Rossi is out of the race!
Big incident!
Alexander Rossi, he is stopped on the racetrack. He is in pit lane! Alexander Rossi.
For Alexander Rossi, who has led almost every lap today that hasn't been in, like, pit sequences. And so Rossi, the favorite, and Logano, the second favorite, both with significant damage back-to-back laps. Logano's still going, and Rossi's gone for the race. And again, Stenhouse is the culprit.
And what would you know that it happened on lap 27? Rossi's number it's all gone for Rossi at this point.
So Rossi joins, I believe, Ryan Preece and David Reagan out of today's race.
We can actually take a look at who is officially out of today's race. There might have been some retirements that we didn't notice. 26 through 32, a lap down. Justin Haley, Ryan Preece, David Reagan, and Kyle Larson all out of today's race. I think Rossi is trying to get repairs on pit lane, but that's not good. Almirola at this point now is the favorite to win this race. So we were talking about him earlier, how he was just playing it safe and consistent, and Eric Almirola is now probably going to win this race.
Now the thing, Logano's car is still fast, but like we saw with Kyle Busch, first of all, let's just quiet down, make sure everybody gets through this corner all right.
Everyone's made it through safely, so keep in mind we are running with simulation damage. Joey Logano is going to have a big performance impact.
Yeah, and Logano too, just like with Kyle Busch. When Busch pitted, he lost a lot of ground, so let's see what happens, how long Logano is in the pits here. Even though he's still got a fast car, he might fall way behind Almirola.
This is an unscheduled pit stop for Joey Logano, just 8 laps after the scheduled one. Joey Logano is going to be on pit road to get repairs, and because there aren't any cautions, he's going to have to really fight his way back up to get this race win.
So, well, that took a quick turn. We've been talking about Rossi, Logano, the two best cars. One's out of the race, basically. The other one's going to be way behind. So now Almirola's the favorite, but I wouldn't count out the other two Penske cars.
I did not
Keselowski,
mean Windows button.
Keselowski, Blaney, Ty Dillon. I mean, they're all still right in the thick of things here.
Logano's just sitting on pit road. He's done.
Yeah, I think that might be the end of the day for Logano. So that would mean both of the favorites completely out of the race here. So Almirola's still trying to get around Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
I think
I believe Cindric pitted.
Your race leader
Yes, he
is
did.
not Austin Cindric, is Ricky Stenhouse, with Brad Keselowski actually gaining behind. And watch out for this, bit of a gaggle of cars here. Hemrick, Dillon, and Wallace all going into one corner. So now the field's really bunched up. Brad Keselowski in second, gaining on your leader, Eric Almirola. Jimmy Johnson holding up Keselowski. This race has completely changed hands. We thought it was going to be a Rossi runaway victory. Instead, it's now down to Keselowski and Almirola.
And Jimmy Johnson's really got to be annoying some people right now because he's been holding up so many cars. He's been lapped really since the beginning with the David Reagan incident. And he doesn't have a lot of damage, so he's still got speed, but he's just so far behind since we don't have any cautions in this race. And Keselowski, you can tell he just wants to get around it.
Jimmy Johnson is not making friends, and another driver who's not making friends, Daniel Hemrick. We keep seeing him pop up in the top 5 and 10 here. He is a lap down. You can see how he's holding up Bubba Wallace. We haven't talked about Bubba Wallace a lot, or Michael McDowell. They're both running very clean races, and again, if the leaders get into any trouble here, like I think Keselowski might, if he's not careful...
Here we go.
Oh, not again!
The heartburn turn.
No, don't do it, Brad! Makes it
just
through.
squeezes through. But we still got 20 laps to go, so there's still time for these guys. And Almirola and Keselowski have both been very aggressive. I think about Ty Dillon. He's just been hanging around there, third place, top 5 all day. He hasn't been overly aggressive. He's in a perfect spot right now.
I'd actually look at Michael McDowell. He's also ran a very clean race. He's in the manufacturer that's been really dominating the day, you know, aside from Dodge, who kind of bended in the wall. 34 car Michael McDowell, I forgot who he was. He might have a good chance of winning this race. He really does specialize in road courses, so I would watch out for that 34 car.
Yeah, and how about Denny Hamlin? We talked about him earlier. He's up to 8th place now, 13 seconds behind, but you know, that gap can change quickly with a couple of incidents, and we know anything can happen. We saw Logano and Rossi take it out of the race back-to-back laps, so
yeah,
you never know.
Really, lap 27, 28, everything changed. Things have once again quieted down. Oh, wait, well, maybe not. We were talking about Austin
Dillon.
We were actually talking about him earlier.
Yeah, he had gotten up into the top 10.
Oh!
Like, whoa!
Multi-car incident here.
Matt DiBenedetto. We haven't really seen a big multi-car incident yet, but
Matt DiBenedetto and Austin Dillon collected in this one. Oh, they just made contact, and Dillon hooks DiBenedetto into the wall. Oh, that's a heavy
big
impact.
Kurt Busch just missed it, and that's the first time. I know that's been the trouble spot, but DiBenedetto completely blocked Austin Dillon from even getting a lane there, and Dillon just plowed right through like a tractor.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Dillon, he's very aggressive, wasn't lifting. Matt DiBenedetto, he doesn't really have anything to lose. He's not lifting. So I think one or both of them are going to be out of this race. That is a heavy impact.
So Almirola's got the lead. Keselowski is clear of Johnson, but it held him up a lot. Then Ty Dillon, Bubba Wallace, and Landon Castle. That 3 through 5 is shocking right now.
Yeah, Castle, Wallace, Dillon, these are drivers that you see making it into the top 5, you know, if everyone else crashes like they did at Las Vegas. You know, these aren't like regular running contenders. I think Alex Bowen is actually in 7th. So, really a lot of drivers who we haven't talked about all day now starting to get into the picture, starting to get into the mix of things, since everything has really gone wrong for everything else, or everyone else.
And just a little recap of what's happened on today's race on Trackmasters Cup Series channel. So we had a little technical difficulties to start, but Alexander Rossi had been the strong car. Him, Logano, and Almirola, some differing pit strategies. Ryan Preece wrecked out, David Reagan wrecked out, and then Logano's still running, but he had a big issue, and then Rossi, the dominant car of the day, crashed.
Logano currently running 22nd, fairly fitting for the 22 car, but his day has just gone horribly wrong. I am going to make a recap video actually on like Wednesday. This is going to be a fun race to recap.
Yes, especially lap 27 and 28 with Rossi and Logano back-to-back laps finding trouble. Go ahead.
Sorry, that turn just constantly has been the trouble spot all day. I did run some practice races, and even then drivers were just constantly throwing it in the wall there. You know, I don't think that NASCAR drivers, they haven't really raced at St. Petersburg before, other than Rossi, and even Rossi was susceptible to just jamming it in the outside wall.
And the thing is, with NASCARs, you're used to trying to make the passes in the heavy braking zones, whereas with IndyCar, you're more about getting the momentum and making like the slipstream move in the faster part of the track. So That's what happens when you put NASCARs on an IndyCar track.
Yeah, and actually, as we're talking about NASCARs and IndyCar, Jimmy John's, an interesting story out of him recently, is scheduled to drive an IndyCar sometime in April, or May. Now, with everything going on, I don't know how well that's going to formulate, but with the team that's scheduled to test him acquiring the rights to the 48 car to run in race conditions, Jimmy John said this could be a good kind of trial session for him at St. Petersburg. Maybe going to race in 2021.
Absolutely, and I mean, he's running well. He had the one issue right at the beginning of the race, but since then, he has been really doing really well.
He's not in the top 10, but he has been able to kind of keep pace with the leaders. He certainly hasn't been making a lot of friends, but he has been having a solid-ish race. Speaking of people with solid-ish races, the Roush teammates, Austin Cindric, Ricky Stenhouse, they have practically been inseparable all day, and every time the leaders pit, they seem to just be able to make it out in front. I would expect these drivers to pit around lap 34. Actually, I think they already have pitted, so that's why they're fairly far back.
Yeah, so the pit window has proven to be about 12 laps. Logano was making it more like 10. The most I've seen it stretch was about 13. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what the strategy is and if Keselowski tries to undercut to try to catch up to Almirola, because Almirola's starting to pull away.
I actually do think that an undercut could be on for Keselowski here. Now would be the time to do it, lap 34, 35. Really, as long as he goes in before Almirola, he could maybe have an advantage. You just can't overshoot it. That's what Austin Cindric and Stenhouse have been doing because they know that without an undercut, they don't really have a chance at winning the race. Prediction, Brad Keselowski comes in next lap. Let's go on board with Eric Almirola here for a lap around St. Petersburg.
Yeah, so let's ride. You see, gets very close to the wall. I'm very interested to see how he negotiates the troublesome corner. But you see, you carry a lot of speed through here, and almost like a blind corner, and then you got the first heavy braking zone coming up.
I'd like
which
to call this one the low poly trees corner.
That hasn't really been an issue today, and you see, they're careful through here, but then through the middle part and the latter part of the track is when they start getting a little wild. This is where it first starts to get a little crazy.
Yeah, right here you
then
see AI's hitting the wall when they're racing side by side all day. Another thing to point out is listen to his engine while he's coming through this kink. He had to lift there. It's a very high-speed corner, but on these old tires, you just can't make it.
And then here's the trouble corner, and he's going to make it through there.
This is the fastest
and then we got
corner on the racetrack
another
right here.
Scary part up here. Makes it through, and then down to the final corner to the front stretch. This isn't a huge track, but there's definitely some tough parts and some very fast parts to this track.
All right, watch Keselowski this time by. I think he's going to pull it in. So now the undercut is on.
1, 2, 3.
And Bubba Wallace follows. McDowell too. So we're starting the pit cycle. What lap is it? I think lap 36.
Yep, lap 30. We're on lap 36 right now, so good guess there. The gap going into the pit lane for Brad Keselowski was around 3 or 4 seconds. We'll see how it is as they come out, but watch these two, Cindric and Ricky Stenhouse. They are going to have the lead, so if they time it right, I think it could be Austin Cindric or Ricky Stenhouse winning this race.
It's going to be good, that's for sure.
And hey, Charles is back. Welcome back, Charles.
I'm so sorry, guys. I saw what happened with Rossi, too. That sucks, man. But hey, it's looking like we got a good Roush-Fenway battle coming.
Yeah, these two have been majorly undercutting the field all day, so they've actually been able to take the lead on the exit of the pit stop sequence. If they time it right, I think that either Austin Cindric or Stenhouse could win this race. What an upset victory that would be. We've seen Stenhouse win twice in the Cup Series, both at tracks named Daytona or Talladega. Could he win at St. Petersburg? He hits the wall there.
I did see Stenhouse swipe the wall there on exit.
Yeah, Stenhouse almost slipped the wall again there.
And he lost a lot of momentum.
Cindric really starting to pull away from his teammate.
All right, so here's Brad Keselowski. I would estimate that Eric Almirola is probably coming to the pits this time by. There he is. So we'll keep an eye out on the pit lane. Here, I can just set up a camera angle really quick here.
Now, I gotta say, I think Keselowski had a little bit of a slow stop because Bubba Wallace is now right all over the back of the 40,
now watch for
all over the back of the 2.
Watch for Keselowski coming into the braking zone. Tires off on Almirola. I think he's coming through the final hairpin right now. He's right behind Harvick. Here's the 2 Roush entries. This is going to be close. Almirola's going to be down and away. Now watch for Keselowski. He's coming. He's coming.
There he is, right behind Paul Menard with Bubba Wallace. They're
not going to beat him out.
Dillon.
Almirola, I think he even extended his lead there.
So, in terms of the cycle of that group, ignoring the two Roush cars, it's Almirola, Keselowski, Bubba Wallace, Ty Dillon, and McDowell, who are the first 5 there. That's Xing the Roush teammates.
Yeah, so I honestly think at this point that we should definitely be watching for Austin Cindric and Ricky Stenhouse. They definitely lose a ton of time, but if you're thinking about this in the context of the race, they are going to be leading at around lap 48, 49, and 50 while the leaders are pitting, so I don't know if maybe Almirola should try and, or if Almirola's crew should maybe try and cover that off, maybe pit early with the Roush teammates, because if they don't, honestly, I'm actually going to take Austin Cindric to win this race if Almirola doesn't cut off the strategy.
Cindric had a little trouble
sure.
right at the start of the race, but Stenhouse has heavier damage than Cindric at this point, so Cindric's definitely the faster of the two.
Safe to assume that I think at this point most drivers have hit the wall, so I don't know if maybe the damage just cancels it out as we see Paul Menard to pit road.
And Keselowski having all kinds of trouble here with Bubba Wallace. I mean, it's a good battle right there. And Bubba Wallace, really, he started all the way at the back, but he's been able to just miss all the wrecks, got a pretty clean car, and he's doing well.
I actually think Bubba Wallace might be on strategy in the 4th position. So I think if you're thinking about the strategy that Almirola is on, then Wallace is, I think, in 2nd place. But if you're looking at the overall race, I don't think he does have to pit. I think he might just be not as fast as Keselowski, but on the same strategy. We'll have to see if he pits this time by. He might just be trying to overcut.
Almost got into the wall a little bit there, but just a little slight tap, nothing too bad.
I think he did get in the wall, and actually this is going to set up Keselowski for an overtake into everyone's favorite corner.
As Keselowski's coming in hard.
Don't bin it, Brad. He didn't go for it that time. Keselowski is definitely one of the more methodical racers. Doesn't go for those, crazy moves, but when he does have a quiet, clean, and consistent race, you always see him up towards the front at the end. We saw it at Atlanta even in 2019, where Brad Keselowski, you didn't really see him all day. You saw Joey Logano, Ryan Blaney, Kurt Busch. They all cut tires at the end, and because Brad Keselowski had kind of just been conserving, he was able to take away the win.
Yeah, and Keselowski, I mean, he's got Ty Dillon coming too. And how about that 13 of Ty Dillon? He's been in the top 5 the entire race, hasn't had any issues. I mean, he's having a really good day for Tremaine Racing.
Absolutely. I think that Ty Dillon is really one of the more underrated drivers in the Cup Series field. You see him every weekend. He always does something, whether it's something, cool in practice, whether he finishes top 10 in the race. People really seem to think, I just think they underestimate Ty Dillon, especially, Kamikaze Games with the whole Casey Mears thing. But, I think Ty Dillon is a much better driver than a lot of people give him credit for. Sure, he only won one Xfinity race, but he has really been making the most out of that 13 car the past few years. Think back to Dover in 2017, where Ty Dillon was leading at the end of that race. He just wasn't pitting, and, the caution kind of messed things up. He did end up wrecking out, but he was on track to finish 5th.
Yeah, so I'm curious maybe to take a look and see how Almirola is progressing in terms of the 2 Roush cars, because...
In terms of the 2 Roush cars, Cindric has now pitted. Now, this is what I want to look at. Cindric pits on lap 40. Almirola pitted on lap 36. That's a 4-lap difference. Assuming Almirola pits at, lap 47, 46, I still think Cindric could have a chance at winning this race, and Ricky Stenhouse, too. We haven't really... I don't think we've been taking them as serious contenders, but as we're going to come into the final round of pit stops, watch out for them, honestly.
It's amazing how quickly Almirola is approaching Stenhouse, but I want to keep an eye because they're coming towards the crazy part of the track.
Oh,
and the
right.
10 might be looking to get around the 17.
So this is actually going to be a bad situation for Almirola. Stenhouse is an aggressive blocker. We're coming up to a good overtaking spot if you can make it work, and they always seem to go on the outside. Pray
Stenhouse
for
took
Eric.
out Logano and Rossi. Will he have the trifecta today on blocks? But I think... Well, let's see.
Actually,
Almirola's going to have a little bit of momentum, but I think Stenhouse is clear of him.
Almirola's not in overtaking range at this point.
It's
Maybe
not.
fortunately for him.
Quite fortunately, I think Almirola, maybe he's been looking at some of the drivers that have...
He is closing in a little bit.
Yeah, I think Almirola's probably going to go for it in 1 and 2 if
Outside.
Stenhouse doesn't... There we go, take it to pit lane.
And
So
Stenhouse
Stenhouse to pit road. So Almirola now is going to be the leader.
So welcome to the end of the race. Eric Almirola on a normal strategy will probably have to pit one more time at around lap 47, 48, unless he can stretch it to the end. It's kind of turning into I wouldn't say a fuel mileage race, but it kind of is turning into a fuel mileage race. I don't really know if the AI would be willing to stay out until they do run out of fuel, but if they do, then Almirola might be in that position.
Yeah, Almirola really in a perfect spot right now if his strategy does not go well for Roush because he's been able to get so far away from the rest of the field. Keselowski, Bubba Wallace, I mean, they're still pretty far behind him.
The thing about the Roush cars is that if Almirola decides to try and stretch it to the end, he's going to be close on fuel. The Roush cars are at least 4 laps safe. We know that.
So let's just keep it up.
The other guy we should probably watch out for is Bubba Wallace. He is definitely second on pace. Look, we can take a look at their lap times here. Wallace set a 1:12.4, Almirola set a 1:13.4. So Bubba Wallace is actually probably the fastest car on the racetrack at this point.
He has driven away from Keselowski and Ty Dillon, who earlier in the race were up there with Rossi and Logano and Almirola as some of the fastest cars on the track.
All right, we'll take a look at their lap times this time. Almirola sets a 1:12.8, 1:12.6 for Bubba Wallace.
Bubba's gaining, and the big question is where Stenhouse and Cindric end up through all this.
Yeah,
Could
yeah.
Almirola possibly get held up by everybody and just they all end up together and Bubba's got a chance to close in? I think this could get very crazy in the next couple laps.
Big players in this race are towards the end are going to be Bubba Wallace, Eric Almirola, and Cindric and Stenhouse. Only 2 of them really have the pace to win the race. The other 2 might have the strategy played just right. And also keep in mind that with Almirola's closing rates being so fast, if on the 2 Roush cars, if he catches them at a wrong time, we could end up seeing a 3-car pileup going through the left-hander, which I don't think anyone wants to see, but it would certainly make the race pretty exciting.
And we've only seen one multi-car, big pileup, and that was the thing with DiBenedetto and Austin Dillon. Everything else, all the other incidents, Priest, Rossi, Logano, Reagan, they've all been single-car incidents, but you never know, especially if Ricky Stenhouse is involved.
I mean, chances are we probably missed at least one incident, but I mean, from what we've seen, there's been one major pileup. Now, imagine that with 3 cars and Ricky Stenhouse, it's kind of a recipe for disaster. Almirola with a 1:12.6, Wallace with a 1:12.9, so Wallace has a much better short-run car, which really isn't going to pay off in a race without cautions.
And I mean, now we're down 7-8 laps to go. I mean, this is really crunch time, and Bubba Wallace is starting to gain on Eric Almirola. We're seeing it just a couple tenths a lap, but he's getting closer and closer to that 10 car.
I mean, I don't think he closed in that lap, but I mean, he got about a second closer, we know, at least 1 lap, and I really just want to see the race to the end, right? Because we have the 2 Roush cars, both of them very aggressive drivers who are going to be closed in on by Almirola and Bubba Wallace. So either things are going to go well or things are going to end in disaster. Speaking of disaster, let's go find Ricky Stenhouse, see how he's doing on the racetrack. Here's one of the Roush cars, so they're actually pretty separated at this point.
So that's Cindric trying to make a bold move at Eric Jones. I'd keep an eye back here, though, for possible wreck, because we got Kyle Busch, we got Stenhouse coming up, and we got Cindric side by side.
What I don't like here is
I
don't like that Cindric and Jones are racing side by side as they come to that trouble spot on the racetrack. I actually don't think Jones is going to be close enough to make a move. I really don't know what strategy Jones is on at this point because we haven't really paid attention to him all race because he hasn't really done much. But watch out behind. 2 Joe Gibbs teammates into 1 corner. Watch out, Kyle. He's in the wall!
Just a tap. Just a
Kyle
little tap.
Busch, second time in the wall that we've seen earlier with Priest. And it's almost the same situation, except Eric Jones didn't get demolished like the 47 did earlier in the race.
Yep, Kyle Busch just went wide. Just clipped it. That's fairly normal that we've seen in this race. So, yeah, just a little bit of a tap for Kyle Busch. That'll probably impact him, just maybe not that badly. We're not live yet. Now we're up to live coverage. Kurt Busch coming out of the pit lane. And here we go. At this point, it is a race to the end. You see some of the leaders starting to pit. Here's Almirola. Bubba Wallace, I think, has already made it onto pit road. And look who it is. Austin Cindric.
Wow, and Cindric is already up to Ty Dillon. Did you realize, I mean, and Almirola hasn't pitted yet, so Austin Cindric could end up just completely running away with this race.
Watch out for this. We got Stenhouse, Harvick, Jones, and Landon Castle all heading in a tight pack towards the trouble spot on the racetrack. If there were cautions, this would be a pretty good situation for one. Harvick in the wall.
Oh, Harvick in the tires.
All right.
And there's Stenhouse up on the outside.
Keep in mind that
oh boy,
Stenhouse might want to play it cautious. Here we go.
Here we go.
Keeps it off the wall by a good margin.
It.
Castle does too.
Castle almost hit the wall.
Kind of insane.
Ricky Stenhouse scares me. It is just it's so shocking. And, well, not shocking at all, that Stenhouse took out the two best cars back-to-back laps in this race. Joey Logano and Alexander Rossi.
Lap
2 laps in a row.
45. Eric Almirola has still not brought it to the pit lane. At this point, he is leaving the door wide open for Austin Cindric because he's just going to gain more and more. And I think Cindric does have enough to make it to the end.
At this point, he's just making the situation worse for himself by staying out. At this point, I'm just thinking about pitting here.
Or actually,
and give
maybe
yourself...
he didn't stay out. Let me see if we missed anything out of Eric Almirola because he's down in 7th. So either scoring got messed up or he did pit and we didn't catch it, which would be a pretty big fail on our broadcasting part. But, well, my broadcasting part. Yeah, he did pit.
Yeah, he did. Okay, so change that. That Eric Almirola is in a pretty good spot
Well,
right
hold
now.
on a second. Because your race leader at this point is Bubba Wallace. He's going to bring it to the pit lane. Will anyone try and stay out towards the end?
Kozlowski pits. Blaney pits.
It doesn't look like anyone's going for the strategy unless maybe Hamlin or Byron. Buescher's the last car that can without getting overtaken by Almirola. Yeah, Byron's coming to the pits. Hamlin's coming to the pits. We'll see if any of them can maybe beat Almirola out. That's the only thing I can really think of that would keep Almirola from winning this race. Eric's already down the front straightaway.
Yeah, Eric's on the front stretch, so he's in prime position here.
Bubba Wallace out.
They're not beating him off pit road, though.
Wait a second, because... Nah, well, I don't think Wallace is way too far away.
Yeah, Almirola's already by, so...
Next lap car is Jimmy Johnson. We've seen how Johnson has been able to cause some issues for the leaders. So maybe that'll happen again. At this point, I'm just trying to figure out if there's really anything that can keep Almirola from winning this race. He's in clean air. He's kind of free of traffic. But watch out for this group right here.
Yeah, Cindric, and you've got Stenhouse and Kyle Busch right back there, so
Bubba Wallace
they are all on different laps.
Wallace is scored as the leader, but I don't think that's accurate. I think that just needs to update because, yeah, they are scoring Wallace as the leader, but I think that just needs to be updated really quick.
Yeah, let's see how that works out at the end of the lap. I think Wallace and Kozlowski should be
out.
behind Almirola.
Oh boy!
Ty Dillon
Makes it through.
Watch out.
And he makes it. Nice move by Ty Dillon. He's done a good job staying out of trouble today.
Big scramble of cars here, but I do think Eric Almirola is your race leader. Just scoring needs to update him, unless maybe something happened that we didn't realize. But coming around this time by, coming to 4 to go, Eric Almirola is your race leader.
Is the leader.
Busch to the pit lane.
So Bubba is second. Cindric, I believe, is third.
Honestly, I think what happened with Cindric is that I think that he just
Guys,
wasn't
no, it
close
says
enough.
Bubba is third.
So Bubba's third, Cindric's fourth, Ty Dillon is in second. But Almirola, unless something major happens to him in the next 3 laps, which you never know because this track is wild, I think Eric Almirola might have a big win in front of his home fans.
Well, I kept switching camera and not driver. Okay, so here is Eric Almirola. I mean, the closest car to him is Ty Dillon, and he's not even in the same corner. Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see if anything happens to Almirola. I've seen it in practice races where drivers have just skidded off the road by themselves. But Almirola at this point, he's ran a whole race without mistakes. It would be pretty surprising to see him throw it away at the end.
And we talked about it a while ago. We thought he had a top 5 car, and that the 2 race-winning cars were Logano and Rossi. Well, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., you're welcome. Eric Almirola is now pulling away because Logano and Rossi
Stenhouse, I think we were expecting him to play a big factor in this race in a different way, but he did play a big factor in this race, just maybe not in a way that he would like to be remembered for.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. Heavy damage for Austin Cindric. How'd this happen?
Ooh.
I would imagine just like a wall hit. Yep, there it is.
He got that wall passing Bubba Wallace.
Yep.
Didn't get the tires, which is fortunate, so he might be able to withstand for the next 3 laps, but...
Battle for, I think this is the 5th position between Bubba Wallace and Ricky Stenhouse. Wallace holding it on for now. I think this is for 4th or 5th. Scoring is a little bit...
And oh boy,
Scoring
we're coming
is a
to
little bit laggy here.
We're coming to the exciting part of the track here at Stenhouse. If he gets a good braking zone here, he could have a shot coming up towards the crazy
Wallace
part.
went wide. Watch out here. There's Stenhouse.
Yeah.
I think he might just be in that range where Wallace is going to try and go defensive. There he goes. This is where we've seen the most accidents happen on the day. Watch out. They make it through.
Oh, made it.
They made it. We're coming to, what, 2 laps to go here for
2 to go.
Almirola.
He is just in clean air. The closest car is Jimmy Johnson in a completely different section of the track. The only thing that I could imagine happening is a lapped car coming out of the pit lane, maybe for damage. But other than that, Almirola has this race on lock. But the battle for 4th is still as exciting as ever. Stenhouse really trying to find a way around Wallace. I do think he has the fastest car right now. Or not the fastest car, but the faster car.
And so many small teams doing well today. Ty Dillon 3rd, Ty Dillon 2nd, Cindric 3rd, Bubba 4th, Landon Castle 8th, Michael McDowell 10th. Just a lot of great stories today.
Absolutely.
All right, here's Landon Castle and Alex Bowman. This is for the 7th position. We'll keep updated on this battle here. I just think, coming to the end of the race, I don't think anyone really wants to, throw it away at the end. But Ricky Stenhouse, I mean, he's been known to maybe make some questionable maneuvers that put him in bad situations. I wouldn't be entirely surprised to see him going for it, but I don't think he's close enough this time by.
Still one more lap, though.
We are coming to the white flag this time by, sponsored by whatever company has not decided to sponsor us. Eric Almirola currently leading. He's been one of the fastest car of the day. White flag out this time by at St. Petersburg. One more lap for Eric Almirola in front of his home fans.
And what a story. I mean, he had a top 3 car most of the day, up there with Rossi, Kyle Busch, Logano. They all had issues. Almirola did not. And I mean, he's completely taken over this race over the last 15 laps.
Eric Almirola, he's just ran a really good race. Really smart, really good strategy by the pit crew, the crew chief and all that. This is really a team effort, I think. A virtual team effort. Austin Cindric and Ricky Stenhouse, I thought they would have a chance. They just weren't close enough. Almirola's had just such a fast car all day.
He has. And for sure, he's kept it clean, kept it off the walls, in pristine condition.
And drivers who didn't do that include Joey Logano and Rossi. Yeah, I kind of forgot he was in that car. But watch out here once again. Here's Ricky Stenhouse on Bubba Wallace.
He might try one more time.
Not close enough.
Oh.
Back to the front, Eric Almirola, he's been perfect all day, kept it off the wall, and that car is looking clean as ever. Coming to the front straightaway this time by, in the first ever NASCAR Grand Prix at St. Petersburg, Eric Almirola is going to take the victory in front of his home fans.
What a win for Eric Almirola, and some good battles behind him coming to the line.
All right, behind them, Ty Dillon takes 2nd. That's Cindric in 3rd, Wallace 4th, Stenhouse 5th, Keselowski 6th, Bowman 7th, Landon Castle in 8th. Very good run by him. I think, well, actually, we can just see the scoring on the right side there. Michael McDowell able to come home with 9th, Paul Menard in 10th in his final start in that 21 car. 11th was Daniel Suarez, Kurt Busch in 12th, Denny Hamlin 13th, Chris Buescher in 14th. 15th place was either Ryan Blaney or Sam Hornish Jr. We'll just take a look at that really quick because there are 2 number 12 cars. I think that was Sam Hornish. Behind Hornish was Martin Truex Jr., Joey Logano, no, that's Joey Logano, not Ward Burton. Eric Jones, William Byron, Tony Stewart, or Clint Bowyer, depending on what 14 that was. Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, Ryan Newman, Jimmy Johnson, Daniel Hemrick, who's basically been out all day. Austin Dillon, Matt Benedetto, Alexander Rossi, very disappointing for him. Justin Haley, Ryan Preece, another very disappointing day. David Reagan, who was also out because he couldn't find his way to pit lane, and Kyle Larson rounds out the field in 32nd.
Well, that was an entertaining race, I'd say.
That was a fun race. I mean, it certainly wasn't, I think, as eventful as it could have been, but at the same time, it was a very good race to watch. Lots of battles going on around the racetrack. Lots of chaos, too, especially around lap 27, 28. Honestly, just a lot of fun to commentate. Thank you guys so much for coming onto the broadcast booth. I know we had a lot of technical difficulties at the beginning of the race. I'm glad we were able to get that sorted out. It was definitely worth it in the end. That was really fun.
Yeah, and congrats to Eric Almirola, and I just feel bad for Logano and Rossi. They're not going to be happy with Ricky Stenhouse after this race.
I can't imagine that a lot of people are going to be happy with Ricky Stenhouse. One, he's Ricky Stenhouse. Two, Alexander Rossi and Joey Logano had great chances of winning this race,
but
just didn't come together. So any big surprises out of the day? I honestly think Landon Castle has to be my biggest surprise. We don't really see Starcom Racing really doing anything that eventful in the Cup Series, but they come out today, have a nice solid run, finish 6th, or 8th.
Bye. Too bad.
I am doing something right now, Lonnie. Can you
Post-race drama here at St. Petersburg in the broadcast booth. All right. Let's just take a look at the chat here because I've been paying attention to the race. Do this more often from NASCAR Junior. Yeah, no, I definitely had fun doing this today. It's definitely kind of difficult to organize these events, especially because this one came together on really short notice. Again, huge thank you to Eddie Kalegi and Charles Bowen for coming together at the end. I basically just sent out a group message on Twitter like on Friday, and I was basically like, hey, I have an idea for a thing, do you guys want to help me broadcast it? And amazingly they weren't like, no, why would I ever want to do that? So
I don't care, go away.
Post-race drama at St. Petersburg.
Alexander Rossi and Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
That's a great example of what happens when you get wrecked out of the race. Speaking of which, let's go back to that incident, because this is really the thing that changed the race. Rossi really did have one of the best cars, was leading away, and it just didn't come together. We'll take another look at it here.
And remember, the lap before, Logano got into the wall, and then here... Actually, I think this is the lap...
Yeah, actually, I don't really remember the order it was. I think it's... No, it started with Logano, because I remember that we were, like, amazed that Joey Logano, like, from second was taken out. But that definitely didn't make as much of a difference as Alexander Rossi from the lead taken out. Yep, we'll take another look at it here. There it is.
All right. So, you see here, Stenhouse, I mean, that's a complete block of Logano's outside line. He knew that was a passing lane. And Logano just sticks it up there and kind of slides a little.
Caught in the marbles.
Right rear, heavy damage. And Logano kept up with it for a while, but he had to pit and fix that because I think he might have had a tire rub or something.
Let's go on board with Joey Logano here so we can just kind of get an idea of what he was seeing.
And see how aggressive this block was, too.
Stenhouse just comes right across. I think maybe, Joey Logano a little bit disoriented, couldn't quite see his apex because Stenhouse was in the way. But that's nothing compared to what happened to Rossi.
Yeah, Rossi's, I think, was a little more egregious.
Yeah,
so...
I don't really remember that one because I think the one on Joey Logano, that could definitely be seen as that was completely blatant. But taking a look at what happened to Rossi here, he was just, making solid progress, gaining on Logano.
Getting around Hemrick. Logano's got the damage. It's going to dive it in on Logano. Logano goes out of the way, and Rossi's got a much better car.
Wasn't Logano that caused this? Hold on a minute. Or I think he just did it himself. No, that was Stenhouse.
Nah, it's Ricky. Ricky pinched him. And yeah, he was coming up. He passed so many cars that lap, and then Ricky pinched him. It wasn't a complete block, but Rossi's car was pinned a little near the wall by Stenhouse. Yeah, but I think Stenhouse just didn't see that coming because Rossi comes with such a huge run here.
This really isn't a good angle to see it at. This chase cam should help us out just a little bit. But we can just kind of see the closing rate, right? It goes around Joey Logano at the kink. And you can see Stenhouse
he exited, though.
And Stenhouse just is coming across in the braking zone. Rossi's turning in. Stenhouse isn't hitting his apex all the way. They make contact. And just he's out of the race.
And man, back-to-back laps, easily the two best cars in the race taken out. Like, I mean, that just completely turned the tide.
Yeah, and I mean, I think you can definitely blame Ricky Stenhouse for the Joey Logano incident. I don't really know who you can put at fault because I think, Stenhouse didn't anticipate that Rossi was coming over so quickly. I don't think Rossi anticipated that Stenhouse would cut him off like that. Other thing I want to look at is the one with Matt Benedetto and Austin Dillon, because we really didn't get to see this one very well. I don't remember what lap it happened on, but I just remember that we saw Austin Dillon in the pit lane with like a ton of damage, and we looked at the replay and they just plowed themselves into the wall. Happened pretty late in the race. Also, this thing is glitching and not actually letting me go forward in laps. It happened pretty late in the race, and I just remember we were looking at the pit stalls, and yep, there it is.
Wow. Yeah, hold on.
I think I overshot it with the fast forward a bit, not gonna lie.
So this was in a 4-lap span. All three of those incidents happened between lap 27 and lap 30.
27 to 30, that was just the biggest part of the race. I should do a one-take analysis on this now. You can see Matt Benedetto, he's just braking too early for the corner, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know why he was slowing down so much. And Dillon just had such a closing rate, and then I see it just like plows into him like a snowplow, and then that's a big hit.
Benedetto's braking early for the corner. Austin Dillon is not braking early for the corner. I think that Matt Benedetto also went a little bit wide going into the corner. I know that probably a lot of fans are going to jump to Austin Dillon because, everyone hates Austin Dillon. But I think, I think it's kind of on both here, because DiBenedetto was slowing down too quickly, and I don't think Austin Dillon really saw him there.
And I mean, bang, that's a huge hit for both of those cars. One other one I wanted to look at, maybe we could look at the Ryan Preece-Kyle Busch incident after this.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
Was the other.
I'm just getting some slow motion footage here for the
can we go on board with Austin, maybe?
Oh, definitely, yeah. That must have been, just to have your car plowed into the wall like that, it just happened, like, really quickly for Austin.
Here we go.
She goes in, brakes, and bam!
Boom!
Yeah, at that point, they're just hooked on each other. That would have one thing to consider here is that we did have cautions turned off, but that would have been that would have definitely brought out a caution. If there was a way to do manual cautions, I would have done that, because I feel like some of the cautions that the game wanted to bring out were kind of questionable. If there was a way to do manual cautions, I would have had them in the race. However, it was just a little bit difficult to actually get them to come out consistently. Okay, so here is Ryan Preece. Right now he's just on pit road, basically.
He was having a very good run in this race, too, because he was getting up near the top 5.
Yeah, Preece was
fifth at this.
Preece was in 8th. He was having a really good run, and then, of course, into this corner, right?
Yep, and Kyle Busch, I think, is the guilty party here. I think Preece kind of forced it on this one. Let's just say. I mean, he's got a big run. It's the exact same thing as the other times.
That almost reminds me of Max Verstappen and Daniel Ricciardo at Baku. Yeah, wow.
And well, Busch really blocked him, though.
Oh,
that's even more than the Stenhouse one. Let's look at another angle, because that's even more egregious than any of the 17's incidents.
Yeah, Kyle Busch, I don't know what he was doing there. Yeah, this should give us a good view of everything. Sorry about
he went.
Like he went wide on exit of the kink there on the backstretch.
Yeah, no, but that's even worse than
and then
the
he got in the Busch.
Wow.
I think I might know what happened there. I think, because they're coming, because Kyle Busch goes narrow out of the kink. I think he's going defensive, maybe just slips up a little bit. And you can see through here, Busch is on the inside. He's just coming over to take the racing line. And Ryan Preece just has a really quick closing rate. I think maybe Preece doesn't realize how slow Kyle Busch is going and turns in for his corner. Cars just get hooked on each other, and Preece really has nowhere to go. At that point, Kyle Busch can't really go anywhere, and just heavy impact into the wall.
And Kyle Busch never recovered from that right rear damage either, because he had a top 5 car and then never really in the top 10 after that the rest of the race.
I think we should go on board with Kyle Busch, because that might give us an idea of, like, kind of what he was seeing throughout this. I know it's a video game, but he just never even saw Preece. Like, in that whole time, I don't think Preece was far enough alongside for his spotter to tell him that Preece was there. Kyle Busch just never saw him.
Yeah.
The thing about road course racing is that it's very difficult to get your spotter all the way around the racetrack. Like, in that whole incident, Kyle Busch maybe saw Preece in his mirror before he just heard a loud bang and he was in the wall.
Yeah, let's see.
Oh, man.
Wow. That was a pretty big hit for the 47, too.
Also wanted to look at David Reagan's, because that was one of the weirder ones where he just, like, we saw him and he was just smoking out of, like,
and that was
turn
the only
2. Yeah, that
was the only incident that wasn't in that bad part of the track. That was, like, after that. It was, like...
That was weird. It was a really weird incident that it's kind of unheard of. It happened, I think, on, like, lap 12. Yeah, this was the last lap he ran. And right after pit stops, too.
And you see how bunched up it is.
He gets
into the wall a little there, so it started a long way back.
And
he's running here.
I mean, he had an opportunity to just throw it away in this corner, and surprisingly, he did it a corner later.
Yep, so that he makes it through there just fine. And then all of a sudden...
Oh, you can see him slide there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
just slides.
Like something gave out in the car. And then
gets clipped in the right rear, and then he just goes sliding.
And then this is the weirdest part about it. He, locks it down, slides across the infield. At that point, he's trying to make it back onto the racetrack, but his AI gets confused and drives him into the wall.
and then he just keeps repeatedly banging into the wall. And that was the end of David Reagan today.
David Reagan is very symbolic of my mental state at any given point in 2020. Just yeah, we can take another look at it, and I think he just, he turned into the right too hard and just slipped up. Yeah. Oh man.
And then this reminds me of is how, like, in R Factor, the original R Factor, if you had AI and auto save in a way turned on, it'd always do something like this.
Yeah. Other thing is, I did see a couple of people that were out for incident, which I don't.
Larson was out very early in the race, so maybe we could. There was the very start of the race was kind of weird because part of the field did not get going.
I noticed that
There was only about 20 cars there.
Yeah, actually, let's go back to the start because that was one of the weirder incidents of really the entire race. I don't know if maybe Kyle Larson blew his gearbox. I think that's what it said in scoring, and yeah, so we're back at the beginning now where we had all our technical issues.
I think it actually said Haley was gearbox and Larson was accident. So
either way,
think
something happened like right around this range. So let's take a look at Justin Haley. We'll look from a more wide camera angle. Yeah, here we go.
So let's go. The back part of the track.
It's like one driver didn't get going and just stacked everyone up. I've actually had that. I tried to run a race at Texas, and just part of the field just didn't go. So it would have been right around here, where the field is supposed to be going. Yeah, so here we go, and then
Oh.
Boyer and Bowen don't. I don't know. Oh, wow. Did you see that?
Boyer just did not start.
Boyer was just out. He's just gone.
But he still raced, though, and he was a couple laps down, so he just, disappeared off the start of the race and then I guess just illegally started the race.
He got towed right to pit lane. Let's listen to his engine. I think that might give us a clue on what happened. Surprisingly eventful race that we didn't really catch. Where's just, the hood? Is this gonna help us? Just doesn't go. That's an engine issue.
Because you did see it leached forward just a tiny bit, and then it gave out.
I think he might have stalled it, honestly. That's my option. My answer is that he definitely stalled it. One thing to point out here, so you know how Denny Hamlin finished 7th? He had started all the way back in the area of the track that didn't go. So that was a very impressive day for Denny Hamlin. Kyle Larson also was out pretty early on.
I'm curious to see what happened to him.
I wouldn't be surprised if there were some incidents that were multi-car that we just didn't notice. I think it did say Larson had a gearbox issue, which we should be able to see if there's just plumes of smoke.
So he was all the way in the back to start the race.
Yeah, I mean, Larson, it's kind of sad because Kyle Larson is actually a pretty good road course racer. He's always pretty good at Watkins Glen. Just unfortunately today, bad luck took him out of it. Or maybe it was an incident. I really can't tell as Hemrick goes to pit road on lap 2. Or maybe...
Yeah, he had that weird strategy with Cindric and Stenhouse. Hemrick did, but then Hemrick was involved.
Hemrick's strategy was I messed up, I think. Actually, maybe Larson wasn't out of the race. I thought he was, although
I thought it said he finished last, so let's
last of the lead cars. We can actually take a look at the results in just a second here. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe him... Well, no, it couldn't have been DiBenedetto. Let's actually take a look at the results here. Because we have the full results here. Almirola wins by 4 seconds. First car out was Austin Dillon. Larson was out with an accident, so I don't know where that happened. Maybe right here.
While we're on a scavenger hunt, we're going to find where Kyle Larson died.
Let's figure out where all the cars retired. That won't take 10 years. Oh, he's just on... So this is the last lap of his race. So lap 13 is where his race was over. I bet it was with Jones. I bet that's how Jones...
and that's how Jones got all that damage.
Watch out of the groove and into the tires.
I was actually going to say that Alexander Rossi... Or I was going to say that Larson Rossi'd it, but it's more like Rossi Larson'd it. I think that's pretty much everything that happened. Other than Justin Haley, who was out for gearbox, I don't really know what that entails. Maybe just a mechanical failure. I didn't know you could have those just spontaneously. We'll try and figure out where this happened. Does he just pull it?
Oh, that's after he blew up.
Oh, that blew up,
You can
yeah.
see the smoke coming out. So he must have just blown up. Let's see if he had any damage or what.
Did look like his driver's side was dented in quite a bit.
Listen to the engine here. Oh, it just gave up on him.
Yeah, and he just goes right to pit road.
Maybe it
And that
just...
was it.
Almost hit that pit road entrance wall there.
Yeah, wait, did he hit the pit road entry?
Actually, did he? That's a good point.
'Cause he got like
He was
dangerously
right
close.
there. It was a late entry.
Almost.
Almost.
I would not feel comfortable entering the racetrack like that. Alright, so I think that will do it for today's broadcast. Still impressed by Denny Hamlin to be able to finish 13th after literally starting like dead last. Very impressive run for him. I don't know if you guys want to take a look at some of the passes he made. Probably will take a while. But yeah, thank you everyone on the live stream for tuning in. It was really fun today. I kind of want to do this again sometime, so thank you to Charles Bowen and Eddie Kalegi for helping me put this together. It was very short notice, so I'm kind of sorry about that. Anyways, thanks for the fun race today. Really good broadcast, and maybe I'll do this again sometime. Let me know if you enjoyed it in the chat. Again, huge thank you to Eddie Kalegi and Charles Bowen. You can subscribe to their YouTube channels. Eddie Kalegi is WUB Network. Charles, you are...
CBTV.
Go subscribe to CB TV.
Charles. No, it's Charles TV.
He's somewhere in the chat here. You can just find them there.
Yeah.
But anyways, thank you all so much for tuning in. This was really fun. Hopefully I'll do this again sometime. Congratulations to your winner, Eric Almirola. There will be a recap of this race coming out on Wednesday. Lots of action to recap. But until then, this is Jonathan, Eddie Kalegi, and Charles Bowen signing out. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you all next time. Any final words?
I'm looking forward to the next time.
Then I'll make sure to let you know. Bye, everyone.